How you doing, everyone? I hope you're well. I've been looking forward to sharing my thoughts on Jurassic World Evolution, the complete edition, on the Nintendo Switch for a while. Granted, you may think that because the game came out a few years ago that this may be a subpar port or a cash grab, but I have to say I've been rather impressed with this version of the game and what frontier the developer have managed to accomplish on the Nintendo Switch. But before we delve into the review, let me start by telling you what you get in this version. This comes complete with every single piece of downloadable content since the game was released. It comes with 3 narrative expansions, which are Return to Jurassic Park, Claire's Sanctuary, and Secrets of Dr. Wu, as well as the main campaign and that all-important sandbox mode, which we'll get into later. It also comes with all the dinosaur packs, meaning you'll be able to unlock over 60 dinosaurs, which is absolutely awesome as it gives you a sense of purpose to unlock them all. So let's dive straight into this. I'm not going to lie, I was a huge fan of the original film at the time. I was around 13 years old when I watched it. My mum took me to the cinema at the time and I was blown away. I'll never forget that scene when the water in the glass starts to move due to the stomping of that T-Rex, or when Dr. Sattler puts her hand in that mega poop. Who can forget that? So here the story follows the events of that film back in '93, where you're invited to rebuild the original Jurassic Park. And what gives it a very impressive feel from the very beginning is the fact that the narration is narrated by the original cast, which was a great touch for fans and adds to the sense of immersion, and one of the benefits of having that movie license tie-in. Here you'll be guided by Dr. Alan Grant, Dr. Ellie Sattler, and Dr. Ian Malcolm, and who can resist the fantastic voice of Jeff Goldblum telling snippets of the story.
The machinations of the ambitious, undoing extinction, playing with nature's laws. What can possibly go wrong?
It's a nice way to bring you into the park to begin what we're all waiting for, and that's getting in deep into building that park. As you get further into the campaign, the characters will often speak to you as the player, giving you some golden advice, or not in some cases, but I very much enjoyed it, and those little snippets kept me rather invested while I was building my multiple parks. So if you're already a fan of the film, this is going to have you even more invested. Now let's talk about that all-important gameplay. I've always been a huge fan of games like this ever since playing Theme Park back in the early 90s. There was something totally compelling about building a park that was successful, making the people happy, having control of roller coaster rides and how fast they went without killing everyone, or how much salt you would put in the chips in your fast food joint so that people would buy more drinks, was something I'll never forget. But ever since that game, there's not been much that has either captured my imagination in the same way or delivered the level of depth that I was looking for. I thought that with Jurassic Park that this was going to either be a bit of a mess or just not very good. I'm happy to report how wrong I was. Let's start with how you begin and why you'll probably very much enjoy the campaign. And yes, there is a sandbox mode for those of you that are interested, more on that later. When you begin, you're thrown into a park and given instructions from the cast in what you should do and what you should consider. The park is already partly built on the first island and will not pose too much of a challenge early on in terms of things going wrong unless you mess up, which you probably will, but that's just part of the fun and learning from your mistakes. You'll start to mess about with the mechanics of building paths, buildings, and learning how to make sure everything is connected up to the power and a path. That's to make sure each building functions in the first place. The main thing here is that everything is rather simple to accomplish, well thought out menus, they're logical, and it's very important in a game like this, and it lends itself well to console. The first island's where you can take it a little easier to learn the basics without the game killing you every 5 minutes. A kind of tutorial, if you will, although it doesn't always get that right because there's some things that the game just won't really teach you how to do, and you just kind of have to sort of pick it up yourself. Doesn't mean that the park can't get hectic, but you should be able to cope. And once you get your park to a certain level, you'll be able to unlock the second and the third islands, so on and so forth, each with their own unique challenges to overcome throughout the campaign. First of all, you need to make some dinosaurs in your park. What is a park without the dinosaurs? And handily, the first island already has a nice little built enclosure for you. And the whole process of making a dinosaur is really compelling. You can do this by sending out a digging crew on expeditions all over the world, through the menu or by choosing the relevant building. You choose a country and a dig site, click, release the funds, and your helicopter will take off, digging crew in situ. And seeing that helicopter leave your park is a really nice touch. As you only have one center for this, you'll have a number of places which are locked, but there's enough fossils for you to find at first to keep you busy. And once you find those fossils, you'll need to extract the genome to over 50%, which will require multiple digs and have a viable specimen to incubate your dinosaur in the Hammond Center. You can spend the money on trying to make life and still have that dinosaur fail at incubation stage, and that's your cash down the drain. So the more genome you get, the more likely you are to have a dinosaur that's actually going to make it out of incubation. The added fun of expeditions is that you may find good quality fossils or you may get a crappy one. The better the fossil, the more genome you'll be able to extract. And you can see the level of these fossils by the number of stars they have. You can also sell fossils for the needed cash. The goal while being able to build a dino with a 50% plus genome is to get to 100% of that genome, which will take further digs and expense to get more fossil extractions. The benefits though are that the dino incubation is less likely to fail, and you'll be able to design your dino with a lot more variations. But that comes later. First and foremost, you need to get that dino made so you can attract all of those important guests. You don't have to get a genome to 100%, but it is recommended. Now, no one said it would be cheap, but you need a dinosaur to bring in those visitors, to get them to stay in the park spending their hard-earned cash, and that in essence is what this is all about. Make more dinosaurs, get more visitors, make more money, invest, get a bigger park with more dinosaurs and attractions to empty your customers' wallets. And the success of your park will depend on you making profits, and you'll need to control your finances responsibly to have money in the kitty should shit hit the fan. And trust me, it will. And you'll control all of this through lots of handy menus and a management menu, which is very handy, where you can see how your park is running and the parts that you need to concentrate on. You can easily go bankrupt if you don't invest properly, and that will lead to a park restart. It's a scenario where you'll need to speculate to accumulate. Don't spend enough, you'll lose visitors who always want the next new thing. Spend too much too soon and you'll bleed money quicker than you can say T-Rex. Now, I'll never forget the first time you build a dinosaur in this game. It cuts to a lovely cutscene of your dinosaur when it comes out of the gates for the first time, and you can follow it around, which you'll probably do at first, which is quite novel. This instantly binds you to the creatures and makes you feel invested in their well-being. But remember, these are your assets, your investments. They need to be priority, as well as making sure that the guests are safe and entertained. The balancing act here then is tough, but with experience, you'll soon learn what works and what leads to disaster. After all, learning from one's mistakes is what it's all about here. And I'm not sure how well you'll recover from a guest getting munched. And it does happen quite often. At first, you'll be making little herbivores who will not cause you too much of a problem. But there's so much to think about and getting it right. And I absolutely love all the variables this game puts in your way. For example, you want to have your feeders which automatically release food to your dinosaurs near part of the enclosures where visitors can see them. And don't forget to make your path close to the enclosures, otherwise they won't wander there. You'll need differing compounds to keep the herbivores away from the meat eaters. The game is all about your dinosaurs. You can see if they're happy, and trust me, you'll know when they're not. And different things affect them too. Have too many ceratauruses in one enclosure, they'll fight and kill each other. Make the enclosure too small, they'll try and escape. Not enough water, and they won't be happy. The moment I decided to make a smart velociraptor, I was doomed. By unlocking upgrades in the form of gene modifications was the moment I bankrupted one of my later parks. You see, once you master the first island, you move on to a second with differing challenges, such as incoming powerful storms. In these parks, you'll prioritize storm shelters and storm alert equipment to let you know when storms are incoming so you can protect your guests. There is nothing as important as safety, and my velociraptor proved he didn't care about my electrified fence, ended up getting out, killed about 10 people. I got one of my ACU teams to dart the little bugger and put him to sleep, and then you're able to have the asset picked up and moved back to the enclosure. In the meantime, you need your rangers to repair the fences. These are all the things that you have to micromanage. You can control all of this simply by setting tasks, or you can control the jeeps and helicopters yourself, even taking the shots if you wish. By the time all that happened though, I lost millions and ended up bankrupt. I learned a valuable lesson in that I spent a lot more researching better fences and even doubled up, so if they broke through the first barrier, they would not break through the second, and the game would warn me handily that the fence was broken and I'd be able to fix it in time without catastrophe hitting. And this is for me the beauty of the game and the campaign. The campaign is constantly giving you contracts from either entertainment, science and security, and the more stuff you'll unlock in that area. For example, if you do well in entertainment, then you'll unlock more entertaining things to build in your park, such as restaurants or arcades. And if you want a successful park, you need to make sure your guests can get the best views of the dinosaurs. I built a nice hotel, for example, on looking the enclosures, and you can even check out the view for yourself. Building viewing galleries will keep your guests happy, and the process is nice and simple, showing which part of the building will have the view so you can have it at the right orientation. Building will not be operational until they are both powered and connected to a path, and this is a game in itself, especially building those damn power grids. There are plenty of things to unlock too, from discovering more dinosaurs through fossil finds, researching to unlock better buildings, and more great stuff to keep your guests spending money in an array of gift shops, fast food restaurants, and clothes merchandising shops. Keep them spending money by having great dinosaurs with awesome views, using the array of different viewing galleries, and even building a monorail to take them around. Once the money really starts rolling in, you'll be spending millions on research, dinosaurs. You'll have modified everything from skin color to how they act and how violent they are. You'll be able to control how much you sell your items for. You can sell dinosaurs if you like, keep them until they die of old age if you want to. You'll have control of disease and research cures for them. Don't medicate on time and the disease will kill off other dinosaurs in your park. And each one, as I said, is a massive investment, so it pays to invest in them. Building also have upgrade slots such as the expedition center, where you'll be able to have the speeds of digs quicker or a better dig yield. This is just one example. The dinosaurs though are the star of the show. They'll roam around, but the meat eaters are the ones that are entertaining indeed. Put too many in one enclosure and watch as they tear each other apart and then eat the carcass of their fallen foe. It's properly deep, and you'll then need to get rid of the carcass by sending in a helicopter to remove them. Never gets old when a dino starts chasing people and eating them, although that's probably the end of your park. I love how, like the film, you can release sheep only for you to watch the dinosaurs munch them in one gulp, or how you thought an innocent herbivore would cause no issues only for the creature to be smart enough to use its tail to break through the fence and let out 10 dinosaurs free into the park, causing no end of chaos. That must have cost me about 2 or 3 million in lost revenue. Now, if you want to unlock everything, then you'll need to invest time in building several parks on the islands available. For example, you're only allowed to build one expedition center per island. However, as this is a global business, having a center on each island will then allow you to explore differing areas to discover more fossil finds, meaning more dinosaurs. But it also means managing multiple parks, all with differing issues to complete the campaign, and that may be overwhelming for some. For me, having differing challenges on each island was welcome, as it kept things fresh. What you unlock on one island also means that it carries over to the next. So if you unlock a monorail, you'll want to build that early on, maybe on your new island. You can, as long as you have enough cash in that park. Unfortunately, cash generated from that particular park on that island you're working on can only be used on that particular island, which is fair enough. You'll have to manage all of this as well as completing contracts you'll be getting. But if you love this type of sim and management, then I really can't see any reason why this would not be for you. There's enough here where the casual player can pick it up through to the player who just wants that level of depth and complication. I could go on, but there is so much here to unlock. If you want all the dinosaurs, all the valuable buildings, all the genomes are 100%, be prepared to invest hundreds of hours into this game. time on this game will just disappear and you won't even realize it. If I have a criticism, it's more about the contracts and lack of tutorial on some aspects of the game. At times, you'll get a contract and have absolutely no clue early on how to complete it. You can cancel them and ask for another though if you get stuck, and when that contract comes around again, hopefully you'll have learned a bit more about the game. Now you can unlock sandbox mode quite early on as long as you get one of your parks to 4 stars, and you'll have plenty of options in sandbox mode to have the game run to your desire, such as how much money you can start with, whether you want the dinosaurs to be on easy or difficult, weather conditions, contracts, and all sorts that will make the gameplay to your taste. But what you won't be able to do is unlock any dinosaurs or carry out more research in sandbox mode, which is a bit of a shame, as it means you'll need to complete the campaign properly and all the expansions to get all of those dinosaurs before you can use them in sandbox. Now I understand why this decision was taken, but I also know there'll be some players out there who just want to play sandbox straight away, and well, if you move over it too soon, you'll get a park that really has a limiting experience. Moving on then to audio. The audio for me was absolutely stellar. John Williams for me is one of the best composers the world has ever seen, and to have the Jurassic Park theme tune playing in the menu instantly got the hairs on my arms standing on end. To have this musical score adds so much to the film and here in this game. The score is wonderful throughout. The sounds a dinosaur makes was surprising. They sound rather scary at times and really good. When a dinosaur escapes, the music changes and it feels like doomsday is upon us, sending you into a wild panic. Little touches like the park announcer announcing to the guests that the park has a new attraction, and then the narration of all the characters during your playthrough, all added to make you feel very immersed in this Jurassic Park world. Now visually and performance wise here we do have a few issues, but don't panic. Playing in docked mode, the game runs okay. It's not perfect, but it's not going to hamper your enjoyment either. You'll see foliage sort of appear in front of you whilst it's loading. There'll be some tanking in the frame rate when moving around really quickly with your park, and especially when you're getting a massive park with nearly a capacity of 100 dinosaurs. That's the only difference, by the way, between the Switch and other versions, is the cap on 100 dinosaurs per park as the maximum. Then you will see a few issues here and there, but for the most part I was having too much fun to notice or let it bother me. I had more trouble in handheld purely because of the size of the screen, and the visuals do suffer a lot more, so it hurt my eyes a little bit when panning quickly across my parks, and it's harder to do concise things like build power stations and connecting all the cabling in handheld. For me, I would say that it's much better played on the full-size screen in docked, so I'd probably not really recommend playing this on a Switch Lite, for example, unless you have really sharp eyes. Don't get me wrong, it's serviceable, but more difficult to get the full enjoyment out of it. Of course, the visual fidelity has also been impacted, but I have to say the dinosaurs still look great, and so do the park themselves. Value-wise, there is no doubt that you get the complete edition here. You get in every single Dino Pack, DLC, all of the campaigns, and if you love sim management games, this is going to keep you going for hours and hours on end. I would have preferred it to have been a little bit cheaper than the $49.99 in the UK and $59.99 in the US and in Europe though for the digital version of this game. I think that would have been a bit more palatable if it was sort of £10 cheaper. There's no physical being released either, with no plans yet confirmed by Frontier, which is a real shame, as I would have been all about a special edition of this. Either way, if you decide to spend the money on this one, then I don't think you'll be disappointed in the game itself and the amount of detail the development team have gone to provide level of fan service here, and of course a real in-depth park management simulation game. I had a few thoughts before reviewing this game, like movie tie-ins are rarely good, or this port may just not be up to par, but that will teach me a lesson to never judge a book by its cover, because you can tell Frontier wanted this to be as good as possible on the Nintendo Switch, and while the performance is not perfect, the game itself and all the content you get here and that fan service more than makes up for it in my view. There's nothing quite like it out there. It will appeal to those of you that love management sims, and this one, where you get to manage dinosaurs in a park where the line between beast and your guests, and those beasts having your guest as its next meal, has never been so intense. If you want depth, you've got it here. If you want to play it casually, it's good for that too. But best of all, are those dinosaurs. They are the absolute stars of this show here, and that fantastic fan service is just the cherry on top. An 8.5, ladies and gentlemen, out of 10 from me. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, leave me a comment down below. I know this was a longer than usual review, but there was a lot to cover here and was a game that I thoroughly enjoyed covering. Let me know if you played this one before and what your thoughts are on the game. Do you agree with me or not? I'd love to know, and leave your thoughts down below. Please hit that like button, that really helps us out. And if you are new here, consider subscribing for more reviews like this one. I'll leave some other videos up above now so you can check out some of our other content. Take care everyone, my name is Juan Romero and I'll see you on the next one.